Ladies and gentlemen, today is June 9th, 2012. And this is the KNKL Show, episode 38. I am your host, Kienan Lafferty. Today we are going to be doing a tutorial on brushes, as well as answering some very frequently asked questions about where I went to school and how I got a job in the industry. But before we get into that, we want to check out the Twitter. For those of you who are not following me yet on this beloved site, where I don't really tweet a lot of stuff. I usually just tweet when I'm recording new stuff and uploading videos. I don't really tweet when I'm out eating donuts or playing at the beach. But yeah, you should still subscribe, and I can let you know when I'm doing new shows. That and the Facebook. If you're not on here yet, please like it and begin submitting your awesome artwork like this. Jeez. Remember back when we... This is freaking sick. Kale McDonald is the man, ladies and gentlemen. This guy rocks. Rocking it. Thank you guys so much for continuing to submit artwork up here and converse amongst yourselves. It still blows my mind that you guys all come together and are artists as one. So, with all that out of the way, we will move into our tutorial. Let's get this baby up. And, oh. Haha. That was from the warm-up. Get that crap out of here. Alright. Yes, I am going to be teaching you how to make your very own birdie brush. That's my favorite. So the first thing we're going to do is a new document, 8 by 11, or no, sorry, 11 by 8. 300 DPI, hit OK. And here it comes. Here it comes. Alright, first thing, Control-Shift-N, create a new layer. So let us begin. So a lot of people have been asking me, how do I get my brush settings the same as you? Right? You meaning me. That was confusing. Anyway, how do I get my brush settings the same as the ones I use on the KNKL Show? So this is the first one, right? This is kind of like, I heard a lot of my coworkers describe it as milky. The milky brush. And I really like it. Basically the way it works is the harder I'm pressing, not only does it increase the size, but also the opacity of it. So you can see, like if we make the background orange or something, you can see how it's less opaque here. And then as I press harder, it becomes more opaque. So the first thing you're going to do is let us take a stroll to the brushes menu, which is right up here next to your brush. How about that? So the first thing we are going to do is, when you first open up Photoshop, or like if it's brand new on your computer, your brushes are probably going to look like this, right? You got this one, the hard brush, and the soft brush. And in a prior daily, I actually told you guys to do this, right? I'd say, okay, pick your hard brush, like this one here, right? And normally what that's going to look like is this. See, notice how it doesn't, the only thing that's affecting it is the size by how hard I press, right? And it gets thinner at the end where I press less. But it does not affect the opacity. Doesn't affect the opacity. So, to fix that, what I said in a prior daily was to go to other dynamics, right? And then you hit opacity jitter and set that to pen pressure, right? And then I said to lock it, right? And what that does is it's basically going to make it the same. Basically what that does is it's going to get you back to this milky brush, right? But it's also going to affect every other brush like that as well. See, it's the same thing except it's a soft brush. But then the problem arises when you want to go down and use, like, say, a cool chalk brush or something, right? And then it kind of, like, lags but it also, I don't know, it's just my computer. My friend said he has a way to reduce the lag, but I forget what he said. I'll have to get back to him on that. It works really well with like the smudge brush and stuff. But I don't know, it's just like, I guess it works okay for the chalk brush, but there's like certain brushes like oh, okay, here's an example. The grass brush, which is normally supposed to like kind of scatter itself and look like natural, but this like kind of makes it look weird. I don't know. Like I don't like that. And the reason why it's doing this is because it's still locked on these dynamics, right? So I'm going to teach you a way to make your own brushes and not have the locked dynamics affect, you know, your custom brushes. But for those of you who use custom brushes, you probably know this already anyway. But knowing is half the battle, and I'd rather be safe than sorry. So delete this whole layer, make a new one. And let's tone down this orange background. There we go. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do, we're going to start from scratch, okay? So what I want you to do is go to your little brush drop down menu, which is that little arrow right there. Press down on it. Click this arrow, so down left, down to preset manager, right? This is going to bring up all the brushes that you're currently using. I click this one, hold shift, and then click that one to select all of them and hit delete, right? So now, and then hit done. So now you should have no brushes? No brushes, that's terrible. Okay, we got to make a new one. So, first thing we're going to do is, uh-oh, I think I might have screwed myself over. Alright, let's reset it. Make sure before you delete all of them, you select the hard brush. And let's try it again. Preset manager. Delete all of them. Get out of here. And then, why did it go back to the freaking grass brush again? Okay, let's try that again. If it does it, I'm not even going to chance it this time. Let's delete all of them except for that hard brush. Aha! Alright, that works. A little bit unorthodox, but alright, why not? Keep drawing on the wrong layer. Jeez. Alright, so now you have this nice little regular hard brush. Right? And it's not even affecting, or it's not even affected by the pen pressure. So this is a great example to show you exactly how to start from nothing. Because usually when you get Photoshop, you'll notice your brushes will be doing something like this. So from here, what we're going to do is we're going to take this hard brush that we have here, and we are going to go into the brush palette properties. Go here, right? So you got this little thing. This is simulating what is going to be happening with your brush. So the first thing we're going to do is check shape dynamics, and make sure you unlock these. All of these things should always be unlocked now. Going forward, it is a new law. There will be no more locks on these properties. So, the first thing you're going to do is notice where size jitter is. Place that to pen pressure. Check the time. We'll conclude in approximately 10 minutes. Size jitter, place that to pen pressure. Then we're going to go down to other dynamics. Check that. Opacity jitter, pen pressure. And that's also at 0%. Don't worry about that. And all these things are 0%. And then before I said to check smoothing, I don't really know what it does other than sometimes make it lag, so I just I keep it off now. So, click X. Now you'll notice what's happening is, look, it's that milky brush again. Brilliant! So, what we're going to do here is we are going to save this brush. I want to make sure the master diameter here, like before you save it, I usually knock it down to like maybe 25. So what it does is every time you select that brush again, it's going to bring it out at this size. Like if you save it and it's like at 600, it's going to be like massive. It's kind of annoying because you have to like resize it. So just kind of find a good like medium where you only have to size it up or down a little bit. 25 I think is pretty good. Now to save the brush, again, remember we were over here before, right? Now what we're doing is we are going back over to here. And we are going to say, and bear in mind, this is CS2, so CS5 and like the latest ones will probably have these in like slightly different locations, so just be ready for that. Anyway, so to save this brush, all you have to do is simply click this thingy, and we'll save this as KNKL Hard Brush. Yeah? Hit OK, and it saves it right there. Now what you can do is, to make the soft brush that I use, it's actually pretty simple. It's that brush, this brush right here with these properties, and then you just reduce the hardness to 0. And then you can see what that does. See? Same brush, it's just softer now. And I'm going to go ahead and save this one as well. And this will be KNKL. Oh wait, I don't want it at 400 though, remember? Let's turn that to 25 as well. Save that one out. Wow. KNKL soft brush. Okay. And then what we're going to do is go back into Preset Manager via this little arrow thing here, and we can delete that first one. Oh, but here, let me show you what it does. Okay, so you got these 2 custom brushes that you made for yourself, right? One that's milky, and the other one that's milky as well, but it's softer. Now look, if we go back to that first one, look, none of those dynamics are still affecting it. It's just the size. Why is that affecting that? Did we lock that? Oh no, it's because I clicked it. Okay, but actually this brush is actually very, very important too. Like when in a prior show when we were doing masking, remember when we were talking about like keeping the opacity off, that way you can make it like a clean mask, and that's basically what this is for. And these lines here, you see how it kind of like bumps right there? I wonder if that's what smoothing is. Let's see what happens if I turn smoothing on. Let's learn together. Does it fix that? No, it doesn't. So, therefore, smoothing does absolutely nothing except for lag the computer, and you should avoid it at all costs. There we go. Now, moving on to the final little bit before we move into the questions of the week. We are going to make our very own custom brush. And to illustrate this point, we were going to be drawing a birdie, because there was a piece that I was working on not too long ago. I was wondering if I could say it or not. But yeah, it was actually the Tyrant Swain piece for League of Legends. And let me pull that up right now so I can talk to you about it. Okay, so we are back. And, well, you probably didn't have to be waiting for that long, but felt like a long time for me. So, as you can see down here, we have Tyrant Swain. And I was experimenting a little bit with custom brushes on this one to make the birds there. Unfortunately, what happened was, well, I used a brush for a few of them, but then I ended up kind of hand drawing a few of them later on just because I couldn't really figure out exactly how to get the brush to work. But looking back, I figured out exactly how I could have done a better job with this and possibly saved a little bit of time. So what we are going to do is go into this, illustrating that. Oh, and the reason the ARI UI is in there, that's my fault. I saved it out with, because we have like a little overlay before we put it into the game just to make sure the picture's lining up and nothing really important is going to be covered with the UI. And instead of removing it, I just baked it into the image and sent it out. So on the PBE or the beta test, yeah, Swain had like the little ARI UI. I thought it was really funny. So, without further ado, let us move on into creating this birdie brush. First thing we're going to do is, let's get like a dark color. It could be completely black if you want to. Doesn't really matter. And then you can either work with the milky brush or the perfectly opaque brush. But for this, I will use the milky brush. So the first thing you're going to want to do is make sure whatever, we're going to be working with what I like to call a directional brush. Whenever you're working with a directional brush, you want to make sure that everything is pointing this way, as I have learned. Because, oh hey, I can actually illustrate this right now. Basically what's going to happen is we're going to make a birdie facing this way, right? This arrow. Now let me show you what we're going to do with that arrow. Basically when we're done with it, we're going to select it, we're going to go to Edit, and then Define Brush Preset, right? Arrow! Arrowed! Then what happens when you go to brushes, look, there's our arrow. It's amazing. Oh, wait a minute though. It has gray. It's probably because of the background. Probably not going to work. But, whatever. I will show you basically what we're going to get. Turn that off. See, so currently it's just going to do that, right? Actually, that's kind of nice. It's good that we learned that right now. So what we want to do is eventually we're going to go into, let's see, shape dynamics. Let's turn that off. Angle. Direction. Check this out now. Woo! Look at that. Pretty cool, huh? Alright, so that illustrates that point and why you should have a white background when you're doing this. Moving on. Let's get back to our milky brush. And let's draw this birdie. So, yes, this is now a tutorial on drawing birds. Let's make sure that we get the head in there with some very, very good detail. This is the body. A circle will represent the body. And we'll have this little diamond shape that represents the tail. And then use the eraser to kind of cut back in, like those little feathery things. Little feathery butt. Now for the wings. The wings, the way I like to do it is they kind of come up like that, and out, using simple shapes. Very simple shapes. And then for the feathers, I just kind of make them do that, that, that. And rather than drawing the other wing, we are going to simply duplicate it. Grab that. Control-C, Control-V is the quick way to copy, paste. Whoops. And then what I'm doing here is hitting Control-T to get this here. Right-clicking, or I guess in this case it's hitting this little button that represents the right-click. Then you hit Flip Vertical. Bring that down there, put it there, and then merge it down. So there is our birdie. Let's make sure he's in good shape here, because you're going to want to make sure to, I think the selection has to be as close to a square as possible, so try to stick to that. And to make a square selection, just hold Shift when you do it. And then you can move it afterwards. So, when you have your birdie drawn, black on white, all you're going to do is select it, then you go back to Edit, and Define Brush Preset. Okay? Name this bird. Hit OK. Deselect that, turn that off, make a new layer. So now going back to your brushes, you'll see that you have this bird here. Yeah? And he's pretty massive. So let us mess around with him. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to Shape Dynamics. Remember that? Let's turn off the pen pressure for right now. Angle jitter. This is the important part. Angle jitter is going to be direction. Alright? And then, yeah, let's actually have pen pressure affect the size. Now, here's where it gets really fun. We get to go to scattering, right? Turn the scatter like way up. See what it does to those birds right there? Check that out. Count, let's keep it down to a minimum. Scatter them until they look about right. That looks good. Texture, dual brush, color. Now we're good on that. And then what you can also do is mess around with the opacity. Let's see. Or maybe it's not that one. Color dynamics. I wonder if I would rather do this than Does this actually work? Pen pressure. Okay, we won't go into that for right now because I don't really know exactly what that does. I wanted to have it like kind of change their color a little bit, but we can do that with the other dynamics as well. For now. For now! Get that crap out of here. Okay, so what this should do now, what this should properly do is give us birdies. Aha, look at that. And you can make them go in different directions wherever you want. Oh man, this would have been really handy for that swing picture. And here, let's make a background on it, just to make sure that it's all working out properly. Let's see, the only thing is that if you do it like this, you know, obviously all the birds are going to look very much the same. So what I would have done to kind of combat that is I probably would have made like 2 or 3 brushes with the birds with like different wings positions, like one that's completely open, one that's kind of closed, and one that's like up, you know, and then I just kind of mix those in. Whoops. Yeah, so that's kind of fun. It's kind of a cool way. Up until like a couple days ago, I didn't even know how to do this, so I just sit around here and make birdies. And that is fun for everyone. So, with that, we are going to be going into a big question that I've been getting quite a lot. And that is, what university or what education, where did you go to learn what you did? And this is the question of the week. And I will sum this up by saying that, I mean, I had another episode called The Big Questions prior to this. I forget which episode it was. I think maybe it was like episode like 8 or 18, something like that. It was like way long ago. But I talk a lot about my life and just kind of, like, it was actually an interview that somebody gave to me, and I had to answer a lot of questions about, you know, how I got into the industry and how I taught myself. But I will sum this up by saying that I'm mostly self-taught, actually. I enrolled in AP Art in high school, and that was pretty fun. But even before that, I got started drawing back when I was really little. Like, my dad used to just draw little pictures of, like, dinosaurs and, like, squids and little underwater creatures, you know, because he used to scuba dive and stuff. And I do too now. And speaking of that, I need to go back to Catalina sometime. But that is another story for another time. So anyway, I got started drawing from a really young age, and what ended up happening was, out of high school, I actually got lucky with an internship doing storyboards at a local studio in Utah where I used to live. And I only took a semester of college doing 3D animation or 3D modeling and animation once I got out of high school. And then, yeah, I was lucky enough to get that internship job there. So you could say that I'm mostly self-taught, but however, like I said in the other episode, the most important thing that you can have as an artist, especially, like, we're lucky in the fact that we don't really need, like, getting a degree is only one of the paths that you can take to getting a job, right? There's like literally millions of other paths for an artist because there's style, you know, there's style, and there's different things that teaching yourself as an artist can give you as far as like an advantage over others. Whereas like somebody like a rocket scientist or a brain surgeon, there's no real style involved in that. You pretty much have to do it right the same way, you know, every time, I'd imagine. At least I hope. And I've never really met a brain surgeon with style, but that would be cool. I would like that. So, with that said, when you're looking to get a job in the industry, I'd say for me, it's more about, people want to see where you've been and what you've been doing with your time. And I've said that before, I'll say it again. So make sure that whether you decide to go to college or not, be sure that you're spending your time always trying to improve yourself, looking to others, watching tutorials, improving basically your art skills, and showing what you've been doing with your time. Whether it is, you know, doing freelance work, or, you know, you know, if you have your own projects or whatever, or schooling, obviously. But it's just, mostly it just comes down to what have you been doing with your time to improve your skills and become a very attractive artist. So, and that brings up another big question that people have been asking is, how do I get into the industry? And I actually think that the best way to get into the industry is actually just to put yourself out there. Like, don't be afraid to go to these, you know, gaming conventions, you know, Comic-Con, you know, PAX and all these things, like where all these vendors are from, you know, like from Riot and Blizzard and, you know, Gearbox and all these other awesome companies. And just like sit down and talk to people, meet people, bring your portfolio. Make sure, like a big thing that I always really like to see is when people actually bring a physical portfolio. Or nowadays, even like people with these iPads, they actually bring them and you can like just flip through their pictures, and that's really cool. So always be ready to show your work at these conventions. Meet people. Put yourself out there. If there's fan art on a site for a game that you like, make fan art of the game, because people that work on that game or for that company are going to see it. And if they like what they see, they are going to contact you. If you make yourself available and attractive, they will contact you. So that's the best thing for me to say. And the other thing is, like, none of this is foolproof, right? It's not like a perfect way to get, you know, into the industry. There's not a perfect way to get there. But I know that if you know what you want and you do not give up on getting there, if you're ready to step over the dead bodies of the people who tried before you and gave up, then you're going to get it. Because there's a lot of times, there will be a lot of times where you don't think that you can do it, or people will tell you that you can't do it, right? But you cannot give up. If you really want it that badly, it's not going to be hard for you. And you just got to keep your nose to the grindstone, I guess, as some people say, and step over dead bodies. Because trust me, even now I'm still learning to do that, because, you know, I still have dreams. I still have things that I want to do. I still have products that I want to make and things that I want to do. And there's been people that I've seen that I'm like, oh man, well, if they can't do it, then what makes me think that I could? And yeah, like I said, this is another story for another time. But the important thing is to realize that it's not ever going to be easy, and you're going to have to be ready to step over the dead bodies of the people that came before you, who you thought could do it, but decided to give up. So with that, we will move on into the question to the audience. So let's see. There was a funny question on last week's daily. I actually said a funny question. I actually re-recorded the whole daily, because the first take, I did it and then I accidentally closed down the stupid program as it was rendering, and I'm not going to do that again. I'm going to hit the stop button and I'm just going to take my hands off of it. But I asked a funny question because I said that I was afraid of my car getting towed, right? And so what I want to see is, my question to the audience is, what do you think the tow truck driver would have looked like as he came to get my car, right? If the tow truck came to get my car, I didn't get my car towed, but I was wondering, what do you think the tow truck driver would have looked like? So please, draw a picture of tow truck drivers and him towing my car. I drive a 2007 Ford Focus. Draw a picture of that and post it to the Facebook if you would please do so. So, and that is the question to the audience. So once again, thank you guys for joining me once again on this amazing, beautiful Saturday morning. Look at this natural light just coming in, lighting my face. And with that, I will bid thee farewell. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. I am Kienan Lafferty, and I will see you guys next week.